It's been a long couple years since two of the Japanese Big Four dove headlong into the electronic rider aid pool. Kawasaki and Yamaha followed in the wake of the Euro manufacturer's early use of advanced systems featuring traction control, wheelie control, race-calibrated ABS and more. Now Suzuki and Honda have each made a splash with all-new litter-class superbikes for 2017. When Honda debuted its $185,000 RC213VS a year ago, the Motogue-inspired road bike was met with mixed review. While many enthusiasts questioned the logic behind Big Red's limited market machine, we viewed this exotic bike as a technology demonstrator and likely precursor to an upcoming cbr1000rr model. As one of few moto journalists fortunate enough to test ride the RC213VS at Spain's Valencia circuit, and now the new 2017 cbr1000rr and its Öhlins semi-active suspension-equipped SP stablemate at the World Press launch staged in Portimão, Portugal, my experience lends a somewhat unique perspective. I'm pleased to report much of the RC213VS character has translated nicely to the latest cbr1000rr platform. And for a whole lot less money I spent a day lapping the standard and SP models around the undulating 14-turn, 2.9-mile Algarve layout. With crested rises, a varied mix of tight hairpins, medium speed bends, hard braking zones, and a scary fast sweeper leading onto the front straight, this track has been host to many a WSBK clash and put the new CBR's power and handling to the test. Two 20-minute sessions on the base model with OEM fitment Bridgestone S21 street radials was followed by a pair of afternoon stints aboard the SP with Bridgestone VO2 race slicks in place of its stock RS10 skins. While the CBR retains its familiar 998cc liquid-cooled inline-4 powertrain, a host of engine updates have provided a claimed 11 horsepower increase in peak output with a 750 revolutions per minute higher rev ceiling of 13,000 revolutions per minute. A modest boost of bottom-end torque also provides improved everyday street performance that any rider can appreciate, along with its revised slippery-assist clutch's 17% lighter pull. Small weight savings in several engine and chassis components has dropped curb weight to 430 pounds, netting a 14% power-to-weight ratio improvement over its immediate predecessor and an astonishing 65% gain compared with the original cbr900rr that introduced Honda's total control concept all those years ago. Featuring the same basic electronics package found on the RC213VS, this CBR becomes the first Honda inline-4 to feature ride-by-wire throttle control. The system provides a trio of hard-coded power delivery modes labeled 13, calibrated for track, winding road, and general street use. Parameters within each mode include power engine response, power output mapping, torque control, TC&T wheelie intervention, and 3 levels of engine braking. There's also a pair of user-defined mode slots allowing the rider to custom configure these parameters and a left bar rocker switch for on-the-fly mode selection. Starting on the standard bike, I sampled each mode beginning with mode 3 on the out lap. With throttle response and peak output locked at P5 tamest of available levels, the CBR felt quite hobbled in the bottom 4 gears. This, along with T8 of the 9 possible TC sensitivity settings, further damped the hot-blooded Euro-spec Fireblade's potential. Toggling into mode 2 P2, T5, and minimum engine brake EB3 combination greatly loosened the reins, allowing full gallop once free of the bottom 3 gears. Mode 1 P1, T2, and EB3 delivers the goods in all 6 gears. Roll-on acceleration from low revs in 3rd gear gave a favorable seat of the pants dyno plot with a strong linear delivery felt through the low to mid-range, a surge coming in at 7,500 revolutions per minute, building into wheelie-inducing acceleration by 9,000 revolutions per minute. And this while folded into a chin on the tank tuck on the wheelie topic. There's a negative effect of the CBR's wheelie control that leaves me baffled. The feature has 3 levels of calibration, each one tied to TC settings 13, 46 and 79, respectively. Sensing a differential in front and rear wheel speed usually smoothly feathers power to mitigate wheelies under acceleration. A sporadic problem arose driving hard over a couple crested sections of track, prompting a more abrupt electronic intervention that often maintained a reduction of power for what felt like a full second after the front tire had touched back down. Although turning off TC also defeats WC, I have to imagine there are people who will find this a deal breaker. I hope Honda will offer a software update to address the issue. Honda's TC gathers lean angel data from a Bosch IMU, thus lifting the bike on corner exit allows the throttle plates to catch up to a rider's overzealous throttle input. The effect felt in each mode is particularly apparent in mode 2 and 3. While my immediate impression of Mode 2 was one of a mannish nature, I dedicated an entire session to this road-oriented mode and soon found that smooth throttle application made a huge difference with the electronics allowing steady, fluid drive off corners. You can bet I didn't scoff at the added safety net following a heart-stopping incident when the rear snapped out alarmingly far. I was kicked out of the saddle with the bike gathering beneath me all in the duration of a single gasp. While the stock radials demanded respect, handling was fantastic with light and neutral steering feel combined with solid chassis stability and excellent feedback transmitted through the 43mm big piston show a fork and show a balance-free shock. The familiar HESD Honda electronic steering damper, hidden behind the steering head, is also at play, and did an exceptional job at quelling the many wheelie-related twitches encountered when pushing the pace. A sequential shift light array located above the TFT LCD tachometer proved difficult to see in daylight conditions, but the optional kickshifter standard on the SP provided seamless upshifts and the most refined auto-blip downshift action I've experienced to date. The latter feature, along with the IMU-aware race-calibrated cornering absentee rear lift control and slipper clutch, made hard braking with multiple clutchless downshifts on the downhill approach and two-turn one drama-free. Added side grip from the Slickshot SP, along with its race-spec Öhlins NIX30 fork and TTX36 shock, elevated chassis performance to the next level. My first of 2 sessions aboard the SP was spent with its suspension in manual damping mode. This suspension mode is simply toolless adjustment of front rear compression and rebound damping, offering a 21-step range for each, and a trio of user presets to store custom setups that can be toggled between on the fly. The full magic of the second-generation Öhlins Smart EC arrangement is the trio of semi-active modes calibrated for track, winding road, and street comfort use. A suspension control unit SCU receives roll rate, yaw rate and lean angle information from the IMU along with wheel speed, engine RPM, brake input, and throttle position, and continually adjusts damping force as you ride. The system introduces objective-based tuning interface, a more comprehensible means for owners to adjust suspension. 4 parameters are presented in the suspension setup sub-menu of the dash, each offering 5 steps of variance from their factory default. I made several pit stops. Bike needs to be stationary to access the menu during our 45-minute final riding session and methodically worked through a 1-mode track options. Following a familiarization lap at default settings, I increased general a global damping adjustment to maximum for a couple laps, very firm with minimal pitch motion, followed by a lap at 5, which proved too soft with excessive chassis movement. Leaving general at 2, I then repeated the procedure with each remaining parameter: braking, acceleration, and cornering. There wasn't enough time to hone in on an optimized setup, but I could clearly feel the focused effect of each adjustment made. While I find the SP's smart suspension a great step toward chassis tuning utopia, I'm also baffled by its inability to store variations of a preferred mode into the remaining pair of slots to allow on-the-fly comparison and a quicker path to finding an optimal setting. Perhaps I'm being nitpicky here, but I stand behind my logic and look forward to such features down the road. Having tested every generation CBR superbike over the past 25 years has allowed me to experience the evolution of Honda's total control vision every step of the way. The RCV213VS may well represent the epitome of ultimate control, but for my money, the latest cbr1000rr platform has delivered that promise to the mainstream. More from CW Buyer's Guide.